Everyone. This is Nithar Ramachandra from the NR Hour Sports Show. This is episode 773, joined by a special guest, former NFL wide receiver Marcus Peterson. He does a lot of stuff he's an entrepreneur now. He does a lot of stuff with branding, clothing. He obviously apparels. He has apparels out there that people should check out. But first of all, I just want to say thank you for joining the show today. It's truly an honor. And how are you and your family doing so far during the sub situation? And where are you guys located currently?
Yeah, first of all, Nathan, thank you so much for having me. It took a while for us to get on board, but we're here now. Thanks for asking. My family's doing really good. Um, the pandemic, it's been a blessing because it hasn't slowed anyone down in my family particularly. Um, and also we're in Los Angeles, California. Right now I'm here in Vegas on business trip, but I'm born and raised and reside from Los Angeles, California.
Hmm. So everything is open there in Vegas?
Yeah, so apparently this weekend was the first weekend everything was open as far as entertainment, clubs, pools. Like the pools and stuff were the biggest thing. But yeah, I have because I have a clothing line as well. So
Yeah.
I'm meeting with this owner of a store tomorrow to have my apparel in one of their locations here in Las Vegas. So I had to come down and meet up with him and his colleagues and also check out the store. So I'm here on a quick Vegas trip. Normally when I come to Vegas, it's more of a fun thing, but
Yeah.
this is more business.
Yeah, so I want to get to your football career first. Obviously, you took a amazing route. You have an inspiring story, and tell people about your football story because it's an interesting one. And coming from you were from California, obviously. And when did you start getting interested in playing football? And did you have any like role models growing up?
Yeah, so briefly to piggyback, so I didn't start playing football until my 10th grade, so secondary of high school, 10th grade year of high school, because I was always into basketball. But my best friend at the time and still now, he kind of like forced me to play because that was kind of his passion. When you're at that young age, your friends, your biggest influence. So, then after that, a couple of my friends were going to school in Kansas. So I was like, you know what, get away from home, college, because I didn't really care too much about
Yeah.
college like that. But just kind of like want to get away and just might as well. So it panned out, and it was a blessing that it transpired that way. So I went to school in Kansas for a year. Now I transferred to a school in Pennsylvania where, well, like I was saying, my best friend at the time in high school, he transferred from Oregon and then went there as well. So I wanted to, finish his college career with him. So I think it would have been like a milestone. It would have been fun to play together.
Yeah.
So I ended up staying for the next 3 years, and so I didn't really care about football too much. I was just kind of doing it because my friends were doing it.
Right.
Kind of took it serious around my junior year of college.
Hmm.
So I started working with all these professionals and like quarterbacks and receivers, and it was a trigger where one of them, Terrell Pryor at the time, was a quarterback for the Raiders,
Huh.
and I was like I think a sophomore, and then he's like, hey man, what team are you playing for? Like what NFL team? And I was just like, no, I'm still in college, sophomore. Like, oh wow, you got some skill. Keep doing your thing, and that's what it triggered.
Oh wow.
It was either him or Tim Tebow, I forgot. But that's what triggered was like, wow, I can start taking this a little serious. You know what I mean? And it became a passion right then and there. I'll never forget the rest of my life. But so going off of that, my college career didn't pan out the way I wanted to. So then I got to work out with the Browns. They're in Orange County, California. They came down, the VP and the head coach at the time, to come check me out.
Right.
And so I didn't have enough college game film. So they were like, you know what, go somewhere, get some game film, and we can piggyback in a year from now. So that's all I heard. Had some opportunity like with Arena, and then the team folded because of economic issues. So I got an opportunity to go overseas from a Facebook message. So I went overseas in London, so over the Mediterranean Sea in Europe, the UK. And not only did I get play football, but I got my MBA in global business finance postgraduate. So the goal was just to get some film, go anywhere, just get some film. And I knew going overseas, you had to put up like some crazy numbers to get looked at. So that was my biggest goal. So put up some crazy numbers, and I had a goal of like 15 touchdowns, 1,000 yards, like 80 catches. So I got that, but I was just shy of like 8 catches. But everything else, the yardage, touchdowns, all that stuff was the same. So I spoke into it in existence. Like I was eating, breathing, sleeping. You know what I mean? Football, and That's all I've seen. So fast forwarding, then I had opportunity with Jacksonville Jaguars coming out of that from because the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars also owns a soccer team, football team out there in Liverpool, so in the UK as well. So I kind of got connected that way, and showcased my talent, and then the Chargers seen my talent as well. So I got to work out with them, and then that's how everything panned out. But it's definitely a blessing in disguise, like the journey, the staying persistent. You know what I mean? Like literally going to another country, getting told no a million times, emailing like 50 scouts a day, like literally the grind of just like, this is my only planet. There's nothing else. Like literally, I ate, slept, breathed. And I seen that the magic of it all was I seen it. If that makes sense. Like I visualized even when I wasn't getting playtime in college. It was like I seen the jerseys, I seen the helmet, I seen going over NFL plays. So like in college, you run like 3-yard routes, 3 yards. 5-yard slants or 3-step slants. But in like NFL, everything is deeper because everybody's faster. So in my mind, I was just very futuristic when it came to what my goals were. So it just panned out the way it should. Like it was definitely a blessing.
Yeah, that's amazing. So obviously you learned a lot of adversity while going from teams. I mean, learning about the teams, and then you just said getting a lot of no's, but went overseas to work hard and end up working out well because you stuck with the Chargers. So what was it like playing with the Chargers? A great franchise. Obviously they moved to Los Angeles. Obviously they were in San Diego when you were there, but now they're in Los Angeles. But what was it like playing with Philip Rivers? And then
Yeah, so I got there when they were playing in Los Angeles. So they got to Los
okay.
Angeles. They got to Los Angeles 2017. So I was the first ever athlete to work out in the first Los Angeles
Okay.
location.
Mhm.
And then a year later, I got signed after that.
Oh,
So I was 17. So I had to work out in 2017. And then it piggybacked in 2018. That's when they called me and brought me in. But it was it was magical because obviously born and raised in Los Angeles, playing for a Los Angeles team. It was just like, it was no words. It was, and then the thing is, I was going to be in transition of being like, going into finance.
yeah.
But I just had that inkling of just like, man, it's coming soon. Because I remember going into interviews, going into corporate, and I'm like, man, honestly, like this is cool, whatever. But I just feel like my time is going to come so like soon, and I just had this feeling. And then I remember one day I was taking a nap, and then my agent called me. He was like, hey, man, the Chargers are looking at you, stay ready, blah, blah, blah. I'm thinking like, a couple months from now, whatever. Then, man, 5 minutes later from that, the GM called me, which is a great guy, Tom Telesco. Like, hey, man, it's Tom. We want you to come down, today. So I'm like, oh, snap. But the thing is like I've always treated every day like I was going to get that call.
Yeah.
Like I was always in shape. Because I've had friends in the past, like, were older, that were like, man, this call not gonna come, blah, blah, blah. And they would take time off, and then like they'll get a call and they're out of shape. So I always, for 2 years, or excuse me, year and a half, 2 years, I was always tip top shape ready. Because like when I went into camp, they don't give you like time to like breathe and stretch. It's like you're going right in the fire.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. So for you, what was it like playing with a quarterback like Philip Rivers, and in front of those fans, and you got a lot of great players around you that time, and obviously you did you get to play with Austin Ekeler that year when you guys no, or was
yeah, so
yeah,
that was his second year. I think that was his second year because he was coming off of that
injured? Yeah.
undrafted rookie year.
Oh yeah.
So I think that was his second year or third year. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I had him on the show a couple months back, and it was an honor talking to him. But what was it like just playing with him and a player like Philip Rivers in your career?
Well, going back to Austin, he's not really a big guy, but he's like, I think at the time he's like the strongest in the league. Like I think he's what, 5'9", humble guy, really cool, but he's just so strong. It's like ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But it was cool because like I would like always watch like YouTube of Keenan Allen and things of that nature,
Yeah.
and then like to go and talk to him and learn from him and literally be in practice and games and suiting up with him and those guys. It was just like crazy. So I really enjoyed it. It was like I was still starstruck, more not necessarily starstruck, but I was more of the testimony of wow, like God, all this happened because of you and just like hard work and sticking with it. Like if I would have gave up,
Yeah.
who knows? You know what I mean? And the biggest thing that came with this, as I've realized as I'm getting older, is it wasn't just about me. It had nothing to do with football. It had to do with inspiring others, worldwide. Because I still get, messages, globally on, your stick to itness and your persistence led me to do this. It stopped me from doing this, or you know what I mean. So I've learned on an aspect of things that it was bigger than just football. It was bigger than me. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? So it was the wildest career, and just like having, especially like the biggest thing was playing in LA,
Yeah.
like having my family come down and living down the street, and it was just like really cool.
Yeah, I can't believe I forgot about Keenan Allen, man. That one of the best receivers in the game, and
Yeah.
you got to play with him in your career too. And but so whoever didn't know about you as a receiver, what did you bring to the game as a receiver?
Um, I would say my biggest thing is route running because I study film a lot. So I literally like copycat everybody, like Keenan Allen, Devontae Adams, Greg Jennings back in the day, Victor Cruz, like literally any and everyone, Chad Ochocinco. So
Mhm.
like when it comes to patience, a lot of you have to know kind of like who the DB is and what type of player they are. Are they one to use their speed? Are they tough, physique, physical, or are they patient? So just kind of knowing that. Um, Not always doing the same thing, if that makes sense too. Like having, like obviously a slant is one route, but having like 5 different methods of running a slant. You know what I mean? Because at that level, everybody's so good and so fast.
Yeah,
That's what I learned off rip. Like everybody's so fast. So you got to not only be faster, but you got to be smarter. You
yeah.
know what I mean? So that's the biggest thing, the mental side of it.
Yeah, so now switching gears, I want to talk about now you're a financial advisor, and obviously you're doing big things now with with that in your apparel, and obviously you're in Vegas right now with the business trip. So, explain what you're doing now after your career and with being a financial advisor. How grateful are you to be able to have something that's that's building off from your career, your football
Yeah,
career?
definitely. So, like I said, so I got my degree in global business finance. So I kind of always had that background of business and finance. So I knew I was going to go into business after football, whatnot. But I got into it because of the wealth management side of, you know, kind of like my environment. None of this information was taught, and once you get to a certain level, you see these guys who kind of like have the opportunity to make their money grow for them. You see guys like Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, Shaq. They make more money than they did in the league afterwards. So, and it's because of those connections, that financial literacy, and the proper understanding of how to leverage your money when it comes to investing, policies, things of that nature, real estate, leveraging your brand, you know what I mean? And just being articulate and well rounded and knowing how money works, not only in just an American market, but also in a global market as well. So I got into it because not only for myself and my own education, for myself and my future family, um, but to encourage and help others in my surroundings as well, my family, my friends, um, and Black and Brown community that where I'm from in Los Angeles, California, because this information is not bestowed on us. You know what I mean? Like a lot of this is self-taught, self-education. You don't learn this in the school system because obviously they might not know it as much. So it's just like giving back, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so I want to talk also talk about your clothing line and where can people find those stuff, the clothing line.
Yeah, so I started it literally. So I know that branding and timing is always key when it comes to business. So I launched it the day after I signed with the Chargers,
Mhm.
obviously because I got more of the exposure from their exposure and also as mine. So I have 3 slogans of 100% focus on plan A, stay persistent, and prove yourself right. Obviously, 100. My plan A was the NFL, staying persistent of getting told no a million times, but all I needed was that one yes or those 2 yeses, excuse me. And prove yourself right. I had a notion of proving others wrong in a negative sense, but once I switched over that energy to proving myself right and making myself happy within, with the decisions I'm making and the accomplishments that have been made so far, that's when everything went more into the positive. So those are three mantras that helped me get to where I am today. And so those are the clothing line as well.
Hmm.
You can, so it's MP, obviously, my name is Marcus Peterson, but MP Motivational Apparel. So that's www.mpmotivationalapparel.com. Also, as you know, is Instagram and Facebook, Google, Twitter, things of that nature is, mpmotivationalapparel.com. Also, Marcus Peterson.
Hmm. So a couple more things here before I let you go. This came across my phone just now, 41 minutes ago. You just mentioned Chad Ochocinco. I don't know if you heard about this. He's going to be in the boxing ring on the Floyd Mayweather Jake Paul card. What do you think about that?
I didn't hear about it. What's he going to be doing?
He's going to be fighting in the ring, Chad Ochocinco. All
Oh,
these,
really?
yeah. I just
Like
think,
a preliminary beforehand?
yeah, like before the Floyd Mayweather and Jake Paul, all these celebrities are getting into boxing now. What do you think of this?
I think it's a marketing tool, a branding tool, and also a money tool. I know he just got married, but
Yeah.
like once you get a certain status, you want to start getting more excitement.
Hmm.
But he knows he's big on branding. That's where I learned all this stuff from as well, marketing and branding. He knows how big of a name Jake Paul is right now in his temperature, and also Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
And so much exposure and eyes are going to be on that, and he wants to get a piece of the pie. Whether he gets knocked out or not, he's going to be, get some money from it and also have all those eyes on him and that exposure as well. So he's really in there. He's really there for the marketing tactic.
Have you considered doing that?
No, 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 no. I do like soccer, basketball, or something, but when it comes to boxing, no.
Yeah, so I'm just curious if the right opportunity presents for you itself, would you consider coming back to NFL if a team reaches out saying, I
Yeah, of course.
we need a receiver or something?
Yeah, I still work out. I'm at peace of mind if it does or doesn't. Obviously, during this draft, a
Yeah.
lot of things have kind of like, hit home as far as like, man, I really do miss it. So I'm still in shape, still work out, things of that nature. So I'm very open to whichever team, gives that opportunity. And I just be ready for it.
Yeah. So before we get to the last two things, speaking of the draft, obviously the draft just happened, and so I'm sure you saw it. So what advice would you give these free agents, priority free agents that got signed, and the players that might have to work harder to make the team? What advice would you give them?
NFL stands for not for long. Um, yes, live in the moment, but also think long term.
Hmm.
Know who your friends are and who your family is. Not everybody's your family or your friend. Take care of yourself first. You don't have to owe all these people just because you made it. The unstableness of the NFL is so ridiculous. Like you got guys who got drafted last year
Yeah.
who got cut in camp and hasn't been on a team yet. So you never know what today might bring. I mean, tomorrow might bring. So, in the first and foremost, I would say you have to know yourself
Mm.
because you're at that age, coming from whatever background you're coming from, getting that certain amount of money and that fame and that stature, especially now with social media, it can take over your mental health and your decisions so crazy. Like that's why I'm glad it worked out for me because I think I was a rookie at like 25 or 26, 25, I think, or 25, 26, I don't know. But if I would have gotten that financial freedom and that kind of fame at what, 22,
Mhm.
there's no way. Because I had time to explore, figure out myself, understand how the world and money and business works. So guys were like, 20, 22, 23, 24. Getting that type of money and that fame so early can really be detrimental. So
Yeah.
I would definitely say learn yourself, know yourself. If you are religious, stay close to God and just like be able to say no.
Mhm.
That's the biggest thing. Like being okay with no.
Yeah. So if you do get the opportunity to go back to NFL, or if you don't, what are you most looking forward to with your business and keeping and growing your clothing brand for the future? What are you most looking forward
Still leveraging my brand. I always like to dive in a multitude of avenues, especially with no kids and no marriage. Like it's high risk. whether it's football, business, modeling, acting,
Yeah.
entrepreneurship, whatever. I just want to live with no regret and just literally dive in because you never know when your last day will be and just living out a legacy.
Yeah, and the last two things here. Our team for the show, we're part of this foundation called the Hugh Jackson Foundation. He's a former NFL coach, but he's now on the.
So that's the coach that gave me the opportunity with the Browns.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, so we're part of his foundation. So actually, he's offensive coordinator now at Tennessee State with Eddie George.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'll send you his page so you can check out his foundation, and I'll tag him into this. I'm sure he knows and remembers you. But man, that's awesome. He gave you the opportunity, huh, with the Browns?
Yeah, the first ever NFL coach. I'll never forget it.
Wow. Yeah, so I'll send you that foundation. We're trying to help him prevent human trafficking. We're trying to make sure the community is safe and the kids stay safe because it's still horrible out there with human trafficking. So we're trying to come up with ways how to prevent it. And the last thing here, would you like to say anything to all the nurses, doctors, and essential workers?
Definitely. I commend you guys not only on just being the front line, but just taking time away from yourself, your peace of mind, your own families, putting yourself at risk to help others. It shows how selfless you individuals as mothers, daughters, sons, grandsons, brothers, husbands, wives. So kudos to that, especially this past year of not only just that part, but literally like you have travel nurses, people now going into school, working like 10 to 13, 14 hours a day, and like leaving from Arizona to have to go to New York,
Yeah.
or leaving your home in New York, coming to California. So um, it's the unselfishness of you to help other Americans and people around the world is just mind blowing. I just want to say thank you so much for individuals you helped and tried to help and continue, and you will continue to help.
Well said, and there it is. That wraps up episode 773 for the NR Hour Sports Show with free agent receiver Marcus Peterson. I hope you get another opportunity in the NFL because you're a great talent and you have an inspiring story. Keep up with the great work with your business and the clothing line. It's truly an honor to be talking to you today, and we would like to have you back as a returning guest so you can meet the full team at some point.
Definitely.
Yeah, but keep up the great work, and you and your family stay safe.
Hey, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Great speaking with you.
Yeah, thank you.